everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Indeed. Good morning. I'm Maokwe Yusuf. Welcome to the program.
Hey. It's great to be back. This is the Breakfast Show. We're coming to you live in Lagos, by the way, Nigeria's commercial capital. I'm Kayode Okikilo. And guess who knows what today's date is?
Yes, May 25, 2 days to Children's Day.
Is that what you're counting down to?
This is what I am counting down to every year.
Why do I suspect you right now?
Thank you. Well, it's okay. We are all children, whichever way we look at it. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Man, it is time. I think it's that season for breaking records. We saw with Hilda Bassi. I know we uncovered a lot of Nigerians who had broken records. Guess which other record has been broken? I'm coming to this from a light angle because what played out at the House of Representatives was not light at all. And you saw the speaker saying that this is the first time that a deputy speaker will be disagreeing with the speaker. Pardon me, what came to mind was, another record broken, the 9th Assembly. But jokes apart, it was quite heated yesterday between the speaker and the deputy speaker. And it got a lot of people wondering, okay, what is going on? But I would like you to take a listen to this. This actually played out yesterday, so it's fresh.
In case you're in doubt.
In case you're in doubt. And then we'll come back to it. So take a listen.
I want to fix that we should do our functions. Those who have the interest to go to political, they have the right to go there. But our main primary function in this parliament is to make law, and our citizens should be more priority to us. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Perhaps, yes, you don't appreciate the importance of things like some of our food.
I didn't mention to you, Mr. Speaker, that I was part of those that wanted to put. So I have every information and idea and what this
is. It was set up, if I may. We're not adjourning the House to go to meals. What I said was, let's try and make it light and be there by 2. If you want, we can resume at 10. We will do our work. But we will adjourn this House at 2 o'clock. I will witness the meal because it is important to me.
Sir, the parliament is about us, not about I. Thank you very much.
The speaker openly stated his disappointment in his deputy.
This is the first time in history I've been in this House for many years. But I don't know whether anybody here. This is the first time in history that the deputy speaker will be challenging you on this speaker. Let us try to
Interesting.
So backstory here. The speaker wanted to adjourn early so that they could attend the official commissioning of the permanent site of NILS. You hear NILS a lot. NILS is the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. And the deputy speaker said, well, I don't think we should do that. Okay, we should spend some more time, in plenary, the business of the day.
Let's quote Mr. Bajapiyamela. Chairman, Business and Rules, let's make the order paper light for tomorrow. That's today, I assume, because we have this NILS commission. It is very important. The permanent site of the NILS is at 2:30 p.m., so it will be good if we close by 2 p.m., he said.
So that was what you saw there, and a lot of things come to mind. The build-up to the 10th Assembly, the leadership back and forth, the fact that the Speaker has openly endorsed the party's anointed candidates, the fact that the Deputy Speaker is also trying to be Speaker for the 10th Assembly. But, there's a lot of other backstories to this. The talk about, $15 million, whether or not, the Speaker could have actually just stepped down and allowed the Deputy Speaker preside over plenary if he wanted to go somewhere else. The fact that you think that, wait a minute, these people have been, they seem to be having it good. At least you've seen that camaraderie between them in recent times, or at least for the past 4 years. So what exactly is different now? Is this beyond what we think we are seeing?
Well, I've always raised this issue, Kayode, about the contest of governance and politics. Where do we draw the line between politics and governance? And I think that's what's playing out here. In my own opinion, this is what is playing out here. Because on a good day, you are Speaker and Deputy, so you are the top guys, number 1 and number 2 in the House of Representatives. So there is no reason why they wouldn't have that. As you said, they've had it good for 8 straight years, and here we are now, 4 years, and having it, the way it is going now. So it definitely leads a lot of questions on the mind. So Is it politics that is playing out or an issue with governance indeed? I mean, both of them, none of them said we are not going to have plenary. What the speaker was saying is, look, let's have plenary, but let's cut it short. I can't stand, I don't know how, maybe Terry Kumi might be able to tell you how things go in the House, because I really don't know how it goes. But for me, I would say this is another high point of the contest of politics and governance. Clearly, there is that disagreement because of the opinion of the party, the position of the party on whether or not so-so person or so-so person should be Speaker of the next House, or who should be playing what role and all of those things. For me, that is the issue. However, once such issues begin to get in the way of governance, I think Nigerians need to be giving a lot of attention to whatever the issues are. This is about, how there are many Nigerians who will be wondering, hey, what's the big deal anyway? How does this concern us? But that contest is definitely there. Politics versus governance, in my opinion, guys in Abuja, that's what's playing out.
They're closer to this drama.
Yeah.
I think the drama is absolutely to be expected. I mean, how do you know, for instance, that your deputy is going to run as speaker? It's interesting that they both got re-elected into the National Assembly. The speaker is going to be coming back in the 10th Assembly, even though it's not clear what role he's going to be playing. The deputy speaker was also re-elected into the 10th Assembly, and that's the only reason why he's also seeking to be speaker. And one would think that it should have been a natural progression. If he's been deputy speaker, he certainly has the experience, and also even the zoning arrangement ought to have favored him if he was going to be looking, if the APC were looking in the North Central. Don't forget that they've said that that is not foreclosed just yet, that they're still going to be, taking a look at what should happen in the North Central. And now we're hearing that as a result of the meeting that the president-elect had with Senator Rabiu Kwankwanso in Paris, that perhaps that the configurations might be changing. It's not yet clear. Everything is still up in the air from what we can see here. But this is some of the stories that have been making the rounds. And who knows? Nothing is truly foreclosed. So it is not to be unexpected that when you know where the speaker stands, that perhaps the deputy might feel very slighted. That someone whom he's worked with and he thought he had a really cordial relationship with is not exactly supporting him for his bid to be speaker in the 10th Assembly. But I think that, for me, that was... it shouldn't have happened on the floor. I mean, you can have your disagreements. They ought to be gentlemanly about it. I mean, I would not speak too much about the back and forth between two grown men, because before you know what's happening, who was telling us yesterday that we shouldn't pay it any mind? That one, yes, it was the governor of Akwa Ibom who was telling us just yesterday that we shouldn't, I think it was you who was saying that. Are you saying we shouldn't take politicians too seriously? Well, what he was saying almost came down to that we shouldn't take them too seriously. They appear like enemies today. You and I will be taking side over which side, was doing better or which side was correct or not. And the next minute they're back at it. They're friends again, hugging themselves, kissing themselves, giving themselves a pat on the back, and you and I are still enemies. So please, I think we should watch it. What was more important to me yesterday were some of the things that were said on the floor of the House, that the Committee on Petroleum downstream and midstream had spoken to Accounts Committee, and nobody can tell us how much we're actually paying on subsidy for PMS. That's something that is extremely worried. That's the one that should concern us. As for these politics, it will play itself out. And this gentleman will certainly, water will find its level. And at the end of the day, they will be all right. Isn't that what we say?
Well, in this country, look, certain things that you just think should, be of utmost importance. You're surprised how they relegated to the background, and interests, special interests, political interests, always seem to rise above some key national things, even though they will always argue that is in the interest of the nation or national interest or geographic, by extension, national interest that they do some of these things. And you get to see these things and you think, not too far from the countdown IO's be walking towards May 27, Children's Day, when you see them grown men, quote unquote, going at each other like this one. But it runs deeper than just say, why didn't you support me? You're supposed to have my back as I did yours. So the plenary went on for 4 years and we didn't have any of this. But as they say in politics, yes, you might have seen this, but don't be surprised if at the end of the day, they will always find a way to sort themselves out with all of this. But the Deputy Speaker feels like, look, he's disappointed. Certain things had gone on. He found out behind the scenes that, wait a minute, did these things, activities go on behind our back? You didn't let me know, but...
Yeah, there's that one too.
Yeah, it is there. So finding out much later, he finds it really hard to take, and he wears his heart on his sleeves, and so you get to see some of those things. And you could see the faces of some of the PDP reps that they thought, who needs opposition when you see this going on? Okay, some popcorn on the way.
And let's watch the movie.
But the important thing too is, look, this shouldn't affect some of the key national decisions that have to be taken on the floor, because you get to see as we go through some of the dailies how the nation expects. But the president has said some things there, so they expect that these things will sail through and the nation moves on above personal interests. Okay, take a look at New Telegraph. Let's start with that one as we go through the dailies. It talks about the 10th National Assembly, part of what causes that back and forth between those two gentlemen. They're expected to be gentlemen. Impeachment storm gathers over doctored House rules. Tinubu distances self. Gbajabiamila was a clash at plenary. So that is the some of what you see going on here today. And then you see Senate. Northern leaders make case for Southeast, want Kalu to lead Red Chamber with Sani Musa or Yari as deputy. All of that going back and forth. And then, I don't know if some caught that part. The Nigerian Governors Forum, they have new leadership now. But head of the NGF, the Northern Governors Forum, the Regional and Southern Governors Forum, they have new leadership, as it were. And some intrigues there too, some indicated interest at last minute, and then glitching it. So all of those things just playing out. But as we did tell you earlier about the president seeking some approvals, look at this. Buhari seeks Senate's approval to pay 226 billion naira, $556 million, 98 million pounds judgment debts. Besides, he'll be happy to take care of his cows after May 29. Make of that what you will. But a lot of judgment debts here, I tell you. How many of these cases did we even obey in first? Okay, well, that's New Telegraph this morning.
The Guardian is the next one I'm looking at for you, and they're focusing heavily on the economy. Yes, the economy. The economy is it. Yes, is the big deal. MPC shuns bleeding economy, raises interest rate to 18.5%. That's the lead story on the front page of The Guardian. I think also worthy of note, among some of the things that the CBN governor said yesterday, is the fact that we're currently not meeting our OPEC quota. Well, we haven't been doing that for a while, but to be at 1.1 million barrels when our projection is 1.8 million barrels, there needs to be some question asking as to what should happen or what has happened to 700,000 barrels. Why are we unable to produce even the 2 million barrels quota, which we have set for ourselves? Big questions raised there on page 6.
After all that hullabaloo, the spotlights.
About the contract?
Yeah, and then all the focus on we've caught these people, this will not happen again, and this. Oh dear.
It's still being stolen in ships. It's still being stolen. Well, that's a
and it's
small
not
part
ordinary
of the story.
people that are doing this stealing. So this people shouldn't kid us. It's not normal people that are doing this stealing. The government cannot say they don't know or can't see what's going on. Who's the Minister of Petroleum anyway, or Minister of State? I thought he was trying to go contest for governorship. So who? Okay.
No, nobody knows what is going. Look, page 6 is where you see why the CBN, I'll beg your pardon, the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee, has raised it to 18.5. So imagine if the CBN is doing this at 18.5. At what rate are bankers supposed to lend to the, you know, to investors and businessmen? And at what rate will we be getting whatever goods, products, and services that we are supposed to be getting? So these all have a spiraling effect, a pile-on effect, if you like, on the end product which we eventually consume. Yeah. But take a look at this. Buhari retains cabinet till May 29, seeks Senate approval for judgment debt. That's also there. Naira faces downside risks, slumps to 760 Naira per dollar at black market. They also have that story. Or they have a number of other stories, but I imagine that other papers have them. So we'll take a look at them on their editorial is focusing on Buhari's fragile pieces, they call it, an economic scorecard full of trauma. It's a part 3, so it means if you're just picking up today, so you most likely have missed part 1 and 2. Let's leave it there for the Guardian newspapers.
Well, take a look at the Daily Times. I mean, the dailies are full this morning, and I think it's expected because the administration is winding down. But the Daily Times has this one as its lead. Against all odds, Sirica delivers Nigeria Air. Experts applaud feat as plane arrives Friday. Friday, by the way, is tomorrow. So there's this theory I've been nursing. You know, maybe part of the first flights for, you know, the Nigeria Air will be, you know, taking the president home or bringing the president-elect to inaugurate, you know, just something like that.
Is the president-elect in Daura?
No, I mean, it could come to Lagos and then just take a flight from... I'm just saying, you know, it would be a good way to kickstart the Nigeria Air, which we've anticipated for such a long time. But it's important to be clear as to what to expect with Nigeria Air. Are we expecting full operations? Is it just the usual, you know, launching the aircraft, you know, the pomp and pageantry? At least we have one aircraft. What exactly are we in for? Okay, we need to be clear. Okay, so it's not just the usual, you know, launch a project. By the way, some of the projects that have been launched, some of them are yet to be fully complete anyway. But you know this thing we have for inaugurations and launching and commissioning,
especially
and the rest.
When you are the one that did it.
Well, you know,
I don't know. There's projects we've had more than one commission in a lifetime, so it won't be a hey.
These are pension. I think it was the governor of Akwa Ibom that was saying, well, because of where we're at now as a nation, we pay more attention to commissioning than gathering data. I think he was making that argument yesterday.
Yeah.
But, hey.
Well, another thing that's interesting, I think I remember, I don't know who it was, I was saying it. Look, okay, we was in an interview with Governor Wike, and he was saying, we were talking about water. So look, people want to see the project. However, water infrastructure, you don't see them.
Okay, that's an angle to that one. So that's a big one, really. Let's know what you think about Nigeria Air and this plan, what you expect from it. Of course, the drama in the House of Representatives makes its way to the front page. Speaker, deputy tackle each other as reps seek forensic audit of NNPCL. Yes, I mean, seeing the order paper or some of the outcome of plenary, you'd see that there's just a lot. We don't know how much we consume daily, for example. Lots of questions to be answered. So let's focus on that. And finally, Tina Turner dies at 83. World mourns legendary rock star. I mean, for the younger generation who do not know who Tina Turner is, I mean, that was the king of turn-up, or the queen of turn-up, I should say, before the turn-up of his generation. So, yeah. So rest in peace. Let's leave it there for the Daily Times.
We have the Vanguard newspaper this morning. I find it very, very interesting. One part of it I find interesting, but look at the lead story. Refinery will ask Dangote to sell Forex at good rate. I don't understand what that means. So, is it one of those headlines? We will ask him to sell Forex, foreign exchange, at good rate? I guess the details are on page 5. Says CBN.
The devil is in the details of the details.
Says CBN and government helped him build refinery, raises interest rate to 18.5%. Nasima, Ipman, others react, unexpectedly so, because, I mean, I don't even know what to make of that. Well, that's also that story that is also making the rounds. Keyamo to Buhari, it's unconstitutional to appoint Minister of State. And he said very cautiously, don't see this as ingratitude, just a contribution to national discourse. That's what that is about. Pressure on me. I can't wait for May 29 to do pressure. Anyway.
Who's saying that?
The president.
He said this quite a lot, and it makes you wonder, okay.
Well, May 29th is a date, and it's just 4 days away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so calculate the number of hours it is. It will not pass, it won't even be up to 12 noon of that day.
Is this work that, I mean, is it that bad? I thought it was...
All governors that we've spoken with, is that they can't wait to get out of government.
But the point is, I mean, they worked for this. Some of them, they went to the ballot 3-4 times, and now you can't wait. I thought you would enjoy every moment of it.
Yes, he's enjoying the moment until the last day, so let's just leave it at that. And that's unfortunate story. Tina Turner, Queen of Rock and Roll, dies at 83. Those who said it's after some long illness that he had. Saw that on Yahoo yesterday. Stories on page 7. A quick one, Mr. and Mrs. I like this one. Mrs. is talking to Mr. Yes, eating fruits before meals ensures better absorption of nutrients. Mr. says, but growing up as a child, I was told to eat fruits after the meal. Mrs. says, well, I'm in charge now. That's the Vanguard newspaper today.
Oh dear. So does it mean if it was unconstitutional to appoint those ministers of state, whatever monies they spend, whatever they did, is it also unconstitutional? I guess we'll see.
And it's not the first time I'm getting to hear that. I do recall that the Minister of State for, was it petroleum? I can't quite remember. But or agriculture, he was from Bayelsa. He had very strong views about being Minister of State as well. Our Constitution doesn't provide for a junior minister. There's no such thing, and every minister ought to be equal in the cabinet.
So is this a subtle message to the president-elect?
Perhaps it is.
Okay.
Perhaps it is.
And besides, if they were to give Mr. Keyamo anything about a minister, he wouldn't expect to be Minister of State, is he? With this.
Well...
Just thinking aloud. You never know.
Well, Chimberlin.
Look at leadership next. Life after Aso Rock. I'll now have time for my cattle, says PMB. Thanks, AIDS. Hopes Daura won't be too far to visit. Now he's ex-president. Well, I think he already knows what's coming. So when
I think it was Ruben Abati that wrote about phones not ringing anymore. They
need no telling. This is always a practice, from governors, from everywhere. They know that from 1999, this has always happened. It has always happened. So welcome again to the world. For those of them who experienced it in the second time, some did actually. He's the second time he's leading the country. Former President Obasanjo as well. So there you go. Well, that's leadership this morning, actually.
Daily Trust has this as FEC winds down. Buhari seeks Senate approval for 539 billion naira judgment debt pay. Directs ministers to remain in office till May 29. So yes, they'll be working till the very last day. We gave our best, President tells cabinet members. Recent actions not illegal, but morally defective. That's according to Don. I imagine that is a university Don. But take a look at this, and this is what I'm saying concerns me in the House of Representatives. All that was said yesterday, the drama wasn't really much of a big concern. After 17 months probe, Reps panel fails to ascertain daily petrol consumption. In other words, we do not know how many million, liters of petrol we actually pay subsidy on. We don't know. This is after 17 months of probing. Okay? It's on page 23 of the paper. You also see a number of other stories. FEC approves multi-billion naira power projects in Daura, others. The president should have been in darkness, eh? And you also see that Nigeria's GDP growth slows to 2.31% in first quarter 2023 amid cash crunch. So that's also there on the front page of Daily Trust. Let's leave it there for the paper.
Okay, let's see. I think we might just have to. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Let's take a look at this Nigeria and the speakership race that leads the front page. Gbadabiamila was a clash during plenary, so it's interesting that this Nigeria views it from the speakership race angle. Support for Abbas Kalu in 10th Assembly leadership nails events spark controversy. Reps not about you, but us. Deputy Speaker challenges Speaker. So page 4 for more details. So again, when you now listen to Mapwe's perspective, you begin to wonder, okay, don't distract us then. Sort yourselves out. Let us get to the root of this matter, because it's quite interesting, really, when you see.
These things also happen when you're having an interview with someone and the person is not speaking to the substantive issues, rather attacking you. So hey, let's focus on the focus.
Let's focus on the focus. In fact, 36 says that the House considered a report of ad hoc committee on the volume of fuel consumed daily in the country and the need to ascertain the actual daily consumption of PMS in Nigeria and approve recommendations therein. That's 36 on Wednesday's order paper. So let's also pay attention to that, honestly. That's a big one. And just one more for you. A couple of the front page stories are similar this morning, as you would expect. But you see this one: Buhari appreciates ministers for their loyalty at valedictory FEC, directs FEC members to work till Friday, and seeks support for APC and Tinubu. So that's a page 5 read. Let's leave it there for this Nigeria.
And that's the much of the papers we can take this morning. We'll take a short break, and when we return, it's time to begin to look at the issues lined up for the day. Stay with us.
With or without litigation. As long as the law tarries, there will be an inauguration on the 29th. The Electoral Act in itself, as a matter of fact, envisages that a litigant can be between the tribunal and the appellate court 240 days, 180 for the determination of the petition, and 60 for the determination of the appeal. So our laws are very sacrosanct. They have placed these things in the public domain. That we will proceed with the inauguration of President-elect Asuwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu on the 29th. In spite of the litigations going on, the courts will take their time and deal with those matters. There is need for cooperation from the media and also the law enforcement agencies. We will try as much as possible to make sure that your accreditation is handled properly. You are performing a major role. If we do the inauguration and it is not reported, who would have lost? We. Because you need to tell the world that we've deepened democracy in the largest country on the continent of Africa.
All right, welcome back. Yes, just looking ahead, some forthcoming activities, examining where we are What's going on presently? Well, this morning we've got Ahmed Gombe, who is a special advisor on information management and strategy to the governor of Gombe State. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Morning, Chamberlain.
Well, quite a lot in terms of expectations for the forthcoming government, and then examining where we are in the scheme of things. How many thought, well, mixed feelings in terms of how things could have turned out. For instance, I mean, this morning, several highlights as to crude. After all that has been done, after 17 months investigation, people don't know how much are we spending, who's stealing our crude, and these many things. Look, there's so many things just don't add up. But it is what it is at the moment, and it leaves so many mixed feelings again for this coming government. What will, how will, because still cases going on in court. There's just so many moving pieces for all of this. And so for you, as a member of the party, how are you relating with all of this?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me, Chamberlain, and let me congratulate Channels TV for reaching the mark of 1 billion viewers on YouTube.
Thank you.
That is exceptionally interesting and a product of hard work, professionalism, and indeed your ability to produce programs that really makes people want to always watch Channels TV. It shows that in spite of everything, private enterprise can really strive in this country. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Having said that, I'm worried, Chamberlain, because I do not know whether we have any law or any convention in this country that clearly defines what an outgoing government should do or should not do in its last days. Either a transition from one term to another or a transition from one government to another. If you notice, the last few days, we are still awarding contracts. We are still taking loans. We are still making appointments. We are still sacking people. We are still renaming institutions. I get worried because I thought transition should have a point where you close the books for somebody or someone to take over from where another person stops. But even now, we're still asking for approvals to pay judgment debts. We are still taking loans from outside. We are still appointing directors, and so on and so forth. And for me, I think we should get to a point where we draw a line. A new president was elected in February. We have February, we have March, April. In May, we are doing all those things. I do not think that is good for our country. I do not think that is good for the incoming government. And that is where, when the incoming government comes and does not tolerate those things that has been done and try to reverse them or to adjust them, then problem is going to start. And we are so lucky that this is even the same party. We are not going from party A to party B. It's the same party A that is coming. But all these things are happening. And I can tell you, some of those things are booby traps. Booby traps
for what? For the incoming government?
Traps. Yes, they are booby traps, honestly, as far as I'm concerned. They are booby traps. Because there are certain things that are not sustainable, but we still do them. For instance, look at the aviation industry. Almost 30 directors were appointed. You rename the ministry. You have Air Nigeria, whether they say the planes are coming. These are things that what you cannot do in 8 years, you cannot do it in 1 month. That is the truth. Let's face reality and tell ourselves the truth. Now, these directors, have they resumed? When are they going to resume? Supposing a new government comes and issue an executive order and said any other appointment contracts or whatever that had been done in the last 2-3 months stand suspended. We want to investigate. Then we turn ourselves into another pot of confusion and we start fighting and we start quarreling again.
You don't think that this would have been taken into cognizance by the transition committee? Isn't this part of what the transition committee does in terms of perhaps doing an overview of where the current government currently is, and then seeing how they can, you know, continue to take on matters which they'll hand over to the incoming government? Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
The transition committee is just to create a synergy. If I understand, that is the purpose of transition, going from one place to another. The transition committee is to aggregate the current situation and put it into a working document and hand over to the incoming government. They are not there to go and supervise or approve billions of loans or billions of projects or contracts. When transition committee was on, the Federal Executive Council is still awarding contracts.
Mm-hmm. You think there's a problem with that?
I have a problem with that,
so what I'm saying
like so many other Nigerians do.
Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, isn't it the job of the transition committee to take note of those contracts that are just being awarded and, you know, taking it on board in their own reports and seeing how it is that they can be transmitted seamlessly, perhaps with the justifications for them, seamlessly into the next government?
Yes, they can take note of those things that have been done, so that to correct things if they are not done rightly. But what I'm saying, we don't need to overheat the job of the transition committee because it's a serious distraction. There are so many other things. We have more than 40 ministries or 30-something ministries, or there about 200 or 300 or 400 parastatals or MDAs that we need to look into. That is even a whole lot. The last transition committee we had in 2015, under late Ahmed Joda, may his soul rest in peace. What happened to it? We have some of them like Rotimi Amechi, like Raji Fashola, who are part and parcel of that this transition committee, including Abubakar Malami. I cannot say, and I don't think anyone can convince me to say, what Ahmed Joda committee prepared for the incoming government that any part of it has been taken into consideration. So these transitions we have been having committees is just a ceremony. It does not really give us the direction that we need as a country.
Isn't that then on the incoming administration? Because if you also remember, that was one of the areas where a number of people criticized the Buhari administration, the fact that it seemed to have wasted the first few months. The lethargy that greeted, you know, he is coming into office. For a number of people, they thought he was going to come and hit the ground running. There was, you know, the transition committee, which some people said did a pretty fine job, a thorough job from what we gather. We don't know how, I did not see the report, so I'm only saying from what we heard. But it would seem that those reports were left lying somewhere until the president could appoint ministers 6 months after. So is that on the transition committee or on the incoming government, or the government that took over after the transition committee had done its job?
Yes, unfortunately, we have set a bad precedence for ourselves. Like you said, I remember when that transition committee was on, I was invited by Abubakar Malami to come and make a presentation on sports industry. I came to the venue in Transcorp. I sat down as I'm looking at you before Rotimi Amechi, Hadiza Ala Usman, Abubakar Malami. And as soon as I sat down, few minutes, I saw Amechi making a call. Then later he said that Hadiza would talk to me. Then Hadiza said to me that, Shuaibu, that our secretary, who is aggregating all the reports, is going to talk to you, that you send your presentation to him. Guess what? Who is that secretary? Boss Mustafa. He called me, and I spoke to him. And I asked, I said, yes. A member of the committee, Hadiza Usman, asked me to speak to you, to make you give me a mail. I send my report. He said, we had already taken a report on sports. I said, from who? He said, do I know Bolaji Abdullahi? I said, yes, I know him. He said, they have taken a report from him, so they don't need another report. I said, but Abubakar Malemi invited me to come and make presentation on that. And I said, whatever problems you want to solve in sports, the same person you are saying now that you have taken the report was part of the problems that this committee is supposed to take note and hand it over to the incoming government to resolve. He collected the report. Till today, I have not seen anything to do with that report. And I do not think even Bolaji Abdullahi's report on sports was implemented. So also with so many others. I was coming out from that. I met Pat Utomi on the same floor, and we had a discussions. He said, what happened? And I explained to him. He said, well, that it was almost the same thing that he was told. But he's going to wait. He was asked to wait. So what I'm trying to say is that Transition Committee's report is supposed to be a working document. In fact, as an incoming person, that is the first document you have to look at, because it contains where you are coming, where the government is coming from, where the government is, and most probably where it's supposed to go, because that is what they are supposed to do. But we don't take note of that. And he comes with a different, he may come with his own different agenda. And I can tell you now, with what is going on, Ashiwaju is going to come with entirely a different agenda, a different roadmap.
And some people will say there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, of course, a president is supposed to come with his own agenda. If he doesn't come with his own agenda, you know, he has no business being president. But he must also take note of what progress has been made, where the government currently is, and, you know, see how his agenda can now continue from. Isn't that what they're supposed to do?
Yes, when there are things that are not right, that is what I'm saying. You are living, you are taking loans. For goodness sake, what I could have wanted is to say the day a new president is elected, huh? Is elected, you don't award any contract that is more than 1 billion. You don't appoint...
it doesn't make it illegal, does it? Even if they do.
What?
It doesn't make it illegal, even if the government or the day does, because there's still... the time in office is still relevant.
Yes, we are trying to create that synergy and try to dispel all this public confidence, because it erodes public confidence. It erodes a lot of things. It erodes, you're increasing the deficit of trust between the governments and the governed. Because everybody will be talking billions. You're hearing billions every day approved for this and that when somebody is going. So, if we had done that last year, who cares?
When you say Ashwaju will come with his own agenda, are you suggesting that some persons or many of them there are not exactly happy with the last days of this government in terms of what's happening now?
Well, most people will not be happy with last days when they have been there for 8 years.
I mean, the president-elect's team.
Yes.
Because you have raised concerns about some of these contracts and projects being done these last days.
Yes.
As he exits. Yes. So are you in touch with any of the president-elect's team? Are you suggesting that they will not be happy with this? They will stop some of these things and clearly just come up with their own, as you said.
I am not in touch with any of them, but what I'm saying is that I know Asuwaju Bola Tinubu is an experienced person politically. So he knows what he is doing and he knows what he's going to do. That I can say.
Speaking about experience, let's go down to Gombe State. Yes. Because over the week, some days ago, quite a number of changes. New leadership, Nigeria Governors Forum, Northern Governors Forum, Southern Governors Forum. I mean, Gombe State Governor happens to lead the Northern Governors Forum. And then some actions that he took himself in the state, the party, there were reports that it was set aside. How he, I think, was behind the suspension or expulsion of Senator Goje, Honorable Yunusa, who didn't return as a result of internal politicking. So something that the governor's actions didn't go well with the party, and the party thought, these are men who have experience. They could help your government achieve results. What could you say about all of that?
Well, first and foremost, let me start with the issue of the party and the expulsion of Senator Goje. let me make it clear from what I know and from what really is on ground. No one has set aside anything. It was a fake news. The APC process is very clear to how to expel a member from his ward to local government to state, into zonal office, into national. All these processes had been carried out. The National Working Committee did not sit to approve or disapprove the expulsion of Senator Goje yet, but stories came out with some fake news that they have overturned the decisions of the district. They can't overturn the decisions of ward, local government, state, and zonal office. So let's get that very clear. Nothing has been overturned. It was fake news.
Are you saying that as things stand today, Senator Goje
he remained expelled because
from the party?
He has been incurably someone who has been committing all sorts of offenses against the party, insubordination, anti-party activities, and the rest of it. Can you imagine you are presidential candidate of your party is visiting your state, and you are a serving senator, one of the high-ranking senators in the National Assembly from Gombe State. You snubbed him. You refused to come and attend. The governor of Gombe State, Governor, you know, forget that I am his advisor. As even an ordinary citizen of Gombe State has tolerated Senator Goje more than any other person could have done from his own activities. When he was governor, there are certain things you don't try it.
What do you mean?
You cannot do it.
What exactly happened?
When he was governor, we have a sitting senator who went to his constituency, want to construct a borehole. He was stopped from doing it. We have a sitting senator who wants to provide solar power to his constituency, to connect even his own constituency with new transformers. He was stopped from doing that. So these are just very few actions that are so mean for a governor. And during his time as minister, cannot go into Gombe and even blow off sarin. He stopped it. So apart from that, you look at programs of government and take those programs and sabotage them and come out openly to pitch the government against the citizens of the state. Who does that? I give you two examples, Chambari. Let me give you two examples. His Excellency, the governor of Gombe State, provided KK and PEP, the tricycles, to some citizens of Gombe State and said, okay, to engage them, to make them busy, to be returning part of the money every weekly and monthly. This same Senator Goje went and bought the same KK and PEP and distributed it for free and said, after all, it's your money. How can somebody say you should be paying? That was the day these young people stopped making the contribution they were making. If you are to arrest them, how many are you going to arrest? We brought fertilizer. Lastly on this, we brought fertilizer to distribute to farmers as a subsidized rate. He went and brought fertilizer and said, it's for free. After all, it's your money. How can you be subsidized? During his time, what did he do? I can go on and on and on. So His Excellency has tolerated him more than enough.
So His Excellency, of course, supports this expulsion from the party, doesn't he?
Of course he has. He supported. He made it very clear, and because he has taken so much, his patience has been overstretched.
So Gombe lost the presidential election in Gombe State to another party, didn't it? Didn't that happen?
Yes.
So was Senator Goje responsible for that?
That is not the issue. The presidential candidate himself lost his own state. So he lost Lagos. So it is not news because he lost Gombe.
But Gombe State had almost all the reps, 100% APC.
But we gave him the 25% that he requires.
House of Reps.
That is the most important thing.
House of Reps and the Senate was with Gombe State.
Yes.
Last time out. But this time, Senator Goje is the only standing senator in Gombe State. And even Honorable Unisa too, was he guilty of the same offense?
He has that advantage. You know why? He has only 2 local governments. He has only 2 local governments. And if there is any restructuring we are talking about this country, I could have voted for restructuring to start from Gombe. Only 2 local governments. If you put me there, I can be senator for life.
So it doesn't matter to the APC in Gombe State if Senator Goje moves to another political party?
What?
It doesn't matter to Gombe State or to the governor if Senator Goje decides to move to another party?
Let him test his popularity. Why is he insisting in remaining in APC? If he thinks he's that
popular enough, he won. He's the only person in the National Assembly in Gombe State.
We have tolerated, he has been tolerated. We got to a point that he has to be disciplined because he cannot be above the party. Any member of the party should be disciplined, and that's what has been done. If he feels bad, he can leave the party to go and form another party. That's the only way he can show to the people that really he is popular. Let him move to another party.
In Lagos.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Just to be clear, about a week ago, the APC released a statement, the national APC, saying that the expulsion of Senator Goje has been set aside. It remains a member of the APC. I just want to bounce that off you. I imagine you're aware of that, and the governor is aware. So doesn't that significantly change the situation around his expulsion, or purported expulsion, as the case may be?
He has been expelled. He has been expelled, and it remains so. All the constitutional process and procedure have been followed by the party, and he remains expelled. It's only for the national office to endorse it. And very unusual, it will be very unusual for the national office of the party to overturn the decision of a ward, local government, state, and zonal office. He remains expelled. So,
let me read this statement, a part of a statement from Mr. Felix Morka, that's the National Publicity Secretary of your party, saying that the attention of the national headquarters of the APC has been drawn to the report of the purported expulsion of Senator Goje. And it says the party has directed that the said expulsion and all related actions in the matter be and hereby set aside pending further review and decision of the party's NWC on the matter. He ends by saying, therefore, Senator Goje is and remains a bona fide member of the Gombe State chapter of our party. So are you saying you're going against?
Who signed? Is that a press release? Who signed that release?
That's a press release by Barrister Felix Morka, the National Publicity Secretary of the APC.
If you check that release, it was not signed. If you check that release, it was not signed. The APC Publicity Secretary does not sign or issue statement that way. It's either through a press conference or through a signed release. If you check that release, if you have a copy, let's see if he really signed it. It was not signed.
This statement, I can tell you, is from the official channels through which the statements are sent. So I have it on good authority. But my question is, are you prepared to now go against the national leadership of your party on this? I know the national chairman has waded into this. He's trying to hold meetings with them. But are you going against the national leadership?
No. We are not against the national leadership. The national leadership has not taken any decision. And the story you are reading, that is why I said, who signed it? The publicity secretary of the party or the Department of Publicity of the party does not issue statements that way. If they issue statement, they will sign it, or it's through a press conference or an audio, somebody to get him on tape or on camera that he's making that statement. So anything can happen. But I can tell you from what I know that the national party office of the party did not issue any statement to describe the expulsion to be purported. It stands, it's legal, procedure has been followed, and he remained expelled.
Let me refer you to your official Twitter handle. That's official APCNG. I know you're very active on social media, and the statement is there 6 days ago. Expulsion of Senator Goje set aside, remains a bona fide member of APC. So, I mean, I have told you it's from the official channel. I'm even going a step further to show you that it is right there on the official Twitter handle of your party, official APC NG. And I know Chamberlain at the beginning of the program said, you know, who needs an opposition when you can see infighting sometimes even within the ruling party? So again, that's another layer to show you that this is indeed official. And a lot of people wonder what's playing out within the APC then.
Those who are promoting or accepting any story that is seen or saying to overturn the decision of the party at the ward, local, state, and zonal level, they fail to inform the public whether or not these other layers have the right to take those actions that they have taken. And from what I said, or what I will continue to tell you, officially, the party did not take any decision on that, but they have been informed. And we have representatives from Gombe State at the National Working Committee, and they have made statements saying that as far as they are concerned, the NWC did not sit to decide or to describe the actions of the Gombe State APC as purported, or the expulsion of Senator Goje not to stand. As far as we are concerned in Gombe State, he remains expelled. Whether it's Twitter handle or any other online platform that is making that statement, I would like to advise you and any other person not to rely on those, to wait for official statements from the National Publicity Secretary of the party, signed by him, or through on camera, or through any audio medium, saying that the decisions taken by the APC in Gombe State at all levels was wrong and Senator Goje remains party. Remember, Senator Goje cannot be a party member in Abuja. If he wants to be a party member, he will go to his ward. That's where he collected his party registration. That's where he is in the register of members of the party at the ward level. As far as I am concerned, as far as we are concerned, that has been striking out. He's no longer there. Okay. So I don't know who is going to write that name again.
Well, incidentally, that statement that Kade just read to you said, signed Felix Morka, spokesman, National Publicity Secretary of your party. But another statement credited to him, which says, and I quote, "We note with deep concern the spate of disciplinary actions emanating from various state chapters, including suspension and expulsion of party members for alleged infractions in the wake of the just concluded national elections. This is a highly inauspicious time for these actions." Well, this one is quoting the timing of the action. Should it happen that, you know, what Kade has pointed to you, as is also seen on the official website of your party, should it, as it is, should it be true? What would be the position of the stakeholders in Gombe State APC? What would be your position? Should it be that indeed the national body of your party, as you said, they have to ratify? From what you have said, that ratification has not come. Should that ratification not come, should they insist that, look, let's not suspend him yet, let's have some other conversation, or let's defer this until another time? What would be the position of Gombe State APC?
The delay in ratification by the national office of the party does not invalidate the procedure and the processes carried out by the various levels or tiers of the APC structure in Gombe State. No, it does not invalidate it. As far as we are concerned, it remains. On the issue of timing, the Constitution and the laws of the APC does not specify which time you should expel a member or which time you should not expel a member or which time you should discipline a member. As far as we are concerned, elections are over, and the time to deal with saboteurs and anti-party agents within the party has come.
Well,
and action has been
just
taken
to be clear,
as far as we are concerned.
My apologies, Mr. Gombe. You know, that statement that came from your party's official Twitter handle is one of the ways in which governments at various levels have also, even the federal government, you know, the presidency, the president's handle often put out the statements. Your president-elect, who is soon to be sworn in as president, often put out notices or speeches, statements on his official Twitter handle, and many people, you know, go to town with it. So you're saying that this one, found on the website of your party, is not authentic?
It's not, as far as we are concerned, it's not. Wherever it's coming from, you need to verify. But as far as we are concerned, it is not the official position of the party until the NWC sets the minutes, time, date, and where they met to overturn the decisions of Gombe APC is being made public. Then we would know that, yes, it was the official position. You can take a preliminary action on your own, but that doesn't mean that taking that preliminary action invalidates a process that is constitutional.
Well, I've just confirmed again from Mr. Felix Moka, and he said that statement that was just shown now, he issued that statement. This statement is from him. He just confirmed it just again this morning.
But he
said, yes, that statement is from me. He issued it.
But it was not the usual way he used to issue statement. That's why we are saying it's not from him. But why didn't he come out openly and talk about it?
Did he refute it? Have you seen anywhere where he refuted that statement ever since it was issued? Ever since you said you saw it and thought it was fake?
Yes, because we said it's an unusual way that he issued his own statement.
I hear you, but have you read?
But nobody can impose.
I hear you, but I'm asking, did you read anywhere where he refuted that statement?
I have not seen that.
So how then did you come to the conclusion that because today I just confirmed again
and again. Yes, because we know there are procedures, and he cannot speak for the party of Gombe State. He can't speak for Gombe State. He can speak for national.
Okay, so your views
and when we are waiting, we have to wait until, even if he's the publicity secretary of the party, he has to wait until when the party meets.
But he's not speaking for himself. He's not speaking for himself. It must have been the decision.
No, decision where, by who? Decision where, by who? We have a representative in the National Working Committee who is from Gombe State that is representing us.
Now, not just about...
As far as we are concerned, he did not come back to us to say they had a meeting and they have ratified that they have condemned, or rather they have tried to overturn the decision of Gombe.
So just, APC. Are you aware that the Northeast Zonal Vice Chairman also held the press conference in Bauchi, setting aside that same expulsion? Did you hear about that?
We heard about it too.
Was it fake?
Well, since he's the National Vice Chairman for the zone, and he takes certain actions on his own, as far as we are concerned, we are waiting to see that the constitutional provision in APC is exhausted to the last. But anybody can, I'm talking here, anybody can get up and also talk. But what we are saying is
these are not just anybody. These are part organ of the party. These are key officials of the party.
But what happens to the constitution of the party? The constitution of the party has provided how you arrive at your decisions. So it's not an arbitrary thing that anybody can get up and go to the media and say what he wants to say. What we are saying, the constitution provides that the ward takes action, the local government takes action, the state takes action, the zonal takes action, then you come to the central.
So this looks like, though, the governor is bent on ensuring that this decision stands, because if key officials of the party are saying, no, this is not the case, but he seems to, no matter what happens, he will stick with this.
If anybody wants to upturn it, you should go and start upturning it from the ward level. That is what the law says.
But let me ask you quickly, because you say this is disciplinary action. Some people will say discipline is when the person is still within your party. You suspend, you... find other ways of discipline. When you expel the person... He was
invited, he refused to come.
How is that discipline?
A committee was set up. He was invited, he refused to come. And since if you don't refuse to come, then your head can be shaving your abscess. You are given a chance to come and pay the baba. You refuse to come, so the decision can be taken.
That still counts as discipline?
What? When you are invited to face
expelling a member?
Yes, it's part of it.
Isn't that
when there are sufficient evidence that you refuse to come, and that is another offense. Is serious insubordination?
Extreme offense.
Serious
extreme consequence for something that when you hear, oh, he didn't go.
When you have been having meeting with opposition candidates.
He didn't go for presidential rally. He didn't go.
Wait, Maupe. When you are having meeting with opposition candidates, when you are openly calling for your people of Gombe State to vote for another candidate of another party. So what is more extreme than this? When you are sabotaging every single program of the government.
You don't think that this needs to be elevated to the national level? I mean, for something as grievous a complaint as this, and the fact that he was
the national level are all aware. What I gave you an example. When they came to Gombe, what stopped? We have not seen him in any campaign throughout Gombe State.
What I'm saying is, this particular disciplinary measure, when you knew that it was going to result in an expulsion, you don't think that this is something that the National Working Committee, as you have said, should be the one perhaps to endorse the decision that you have taken?
Every organ of the party has a role to play in how to discipline a member who commits certain offenses. We have done our own. Let everybody do his own. But it is not something that someone will arbitrarily get up and issue a statement. So let the organ of the party come and sit down. We can challenge it. Let the organ, if the National Working Committee sits down and said the expulsion is not there, so it's left for us to go and review our actions. Well, but as far as we are concerned now, no amount of Twitter handle can change what the constitutional rights of the ward and local government and the state have taken.
This is not a Twitter handle. This is official statement from your party. So what about Honorable Yunusa Ahmed, who himself, too, was a victim of the same kind of treatment from the governor? He's not returning to the House, and we understand that the governor replaced him with a secondary school dropout for a PhD. What's going on?
Where is the Constitution say a secondary school dropout cannot contest elections? Does the Constitution say secondary school dropout cannot contest elections? We have dropouts everywhere. Why is that one an issue? Why is that one an issue? Anybody can contest elections. If the governor does not replace him, the governor is not from Yamal to Deba. It's his own constituency. Whoever is asking questions should ask his own people. Why do you give us a secondary school dropout? It's not even, the person is not even a secondary school dropout, the person that you're talking about. He has been in the House of Reps too. He has been a chairman of a local government.
Did he win his election?
When? The last time or this time? No, he did not win. So he did not win. The elections is about winning and losing.
So why?
Because this is just pedestrian issues you are talking about. It's school dropout.
It's about representation for Gombe State. The quality representation. If Honorable Ahmed is there, he's representing the state properly.
When he was there, he did well. Even as when he was House of Reps, he was there before. He did well. And even as secondary school dropout, he did very well when he was there before. So it is not an issue that the governor replaced him with. His own people replaced him. Is the governor, he's not even from Yamal to Deba.
So did the governor replace him so that he would lose?
No. It's about elections. Anybody can lose, anybody can win.
All right. I'm not sure.
There's nobody who is going to, as a governor, nobody is going to plan for his party to lose.
Well, thank you for coming on. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I'm Tribe Gombe, the Special Advisor on Information Management and Strategy to Gombe State Governor. Thank you for coming on, and all the best.
Thank you, Chambele.
We will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Just Eat. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we had all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Are you a business in need of an expatriate quota? Perhaps you're from another country in need of a Nigerian citizenship. ECTBs is your one-stop solution. It's an online platform by the Citizenship and Business Department of the Ministry of Interior, where you can now apply for your expatriate quota, acquire a Nigerian citizenship, apply for a business permit, naturalization, and lots more. It's very easy to use, and it's available any day, anytime. Just log on to ectbs.interior.gov.ng or call their customer service on 070-000-99999 for more information.
Members of the cabinet exuberantly exchange greetings. It's like a rekindling of memories for many ministers here from when they all started in 2015. All 44 ministers, some of whom have had the privilege of serving the 2 terms of the administration, converge for what would be their last fellowship as a cabinet in the council chamber, as President Muhammadu Buhari arrives to chair the meeting for the last time. The ministers took turns to pour encomiums on the president.
A few times I've had to race across the lawn to get here ahead of you. Mr. President, I think that example that you have set is an important one indeed, and is one that has guided us all.
Sometimes the English language is not able to convey a lot of words. So thank you in English is very restrictive. So I'm going to use a word that you like to use often, and I'll send back to you the word you always give to us, or to me particularly. All I can say is, sir, madalla.
The president, in his remarks, expressed gratitude to the ministers, urging them to extend their support to the incoming president.
I am proud to say we gave governance our best and gave bequeathed a solid legacy which the Nigeria we have all prayed for and are hoping to be built sustainably. I encourage you all to go back to your various desks and ensure that last-minute rush does not compromise the good deeds you have done over the years.
Since 2019, the council has held no less than 36 meetings each year. Addressing correspondents after the meeting, the Minister of Information quickly debunks allegations that the president has dissolved his cabinet.
There was a false breaking news that the Presidential Council has been dissolved. That is not correct. As a matter of fact, we've been directed by the President that we should all go back and return to our offices. So it is not true that the Presidential Council has been dissolved. It's still very much alive. And I'm sure that we're going to work right to the end of the, up to 29th of May.
Earlier, President Buhari and his vice, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, had taken their last photograph with members of the cabinet. The president again extended appreciation to staff in the State House.
Now, even though the president has not officially dissolved the council as widely anticipated during the valedictory meeting, we can already hear the rumblings of a new government to be led by the Tinubu administration. The emotional outpouring here was quite palpable as the ministers departed back to their offices. Now, the question of how much impact they have made in the various ministries, departments and agencies becomes crucial.
Every single thing we said said we would do. On Friday, in 2 days, the Nigeria airplane will land in Nigeria, part of the processes to commence the operation. We will, on that day, unveil this aircraft with delivery and everything in Nigeria's colors, belong to Nigeria Air, and we will proceed to go and do the retrofit and bring back those airplanes. So we have achieved 100% of the roadmap.
The days are narrowing down for President Muhammadu Buhari, who has already expressed a desperation to leave office in less than 5 days. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
All right, welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, indeed, taking a look at some of those statements made yesterday at that valedictory session and previously, and of course, some other actions that will happen a couple of days before the tenure wraps up. Mr. Govt joins us virtually. He's a senior special assistant, media and publicity to the president. We also do have Mr. Govt, who is a former presidential candidate of the UDP. Good morning, Chief. Good morning, Mr. Shehu. Thank you both for joining us on the program today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, Mr. Shehu, we've heard the president several times say he looks forward to going back to Daura. And as a matter of fact, one daily yesterday said, quoted him saying, look, if you put a lot of pressure on me, Niger Republic will protect me. So, and then we also thought, well, since the president is eager to go back home, many also thought, well, by extension, naturally, he will just dissolve the cabinet after that valedictory session because that's what they expect will follow naturally. But that wasn't done. Does that also mean that you yourself, you'll be working until the very last day, the last minute?
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity. And I think that we even after 8 years, Nigerians still need to get used to the president's sense of humor. This thing about going to Niger or protection from Niger, if you see how people are taking this very seriously, it's as if to suggest that the president has, loyalties outside the camp. That is absolutely not the case. He just has a way of throwing banters and a way of easing tension around himself. And look at all of the excellent relationship he's leaving behind with our neighbors. If you are Niger Republic, you probably feel good about the president of Nigeria saying this about your own country, that he looks to you, for protection or support. And enormous cooperation from neighboring countries, especially in fighting, terrorism. So yes, President asked them to stay, and I don't think there is anything unusual because all executive houses, you are very familiar, more familiar with me perhaps than on of what the Constitution says. The entire executive authority of the nation is reposed in the personal office of the president. He decides to whom he loans or gives a bit of it. So if he remains in office until Monday, 10 o'clock, when incoming president Ashwaji Tinubu takes off, it then means that those powers are all available to him. And yes, his ministers will continue. Do I continue in office? I have not received any letter of sack. So we will be there until we go to Eagle Square. Okay. And then the president, he takes his leave to Daura.
Quite a number of things were discussed at that fake meeting. And so, and then listening to the Minister of Aviation, that ministry's name was also changed. Then he says the Nigeria Air will come up, I think the plane will arrive tomorrow, Friday. What kind of conversations went through? Because lots of people on the other side can't quite understand how a few days or hours to exit. Many would have thought, okay, if all of those plans were there to a large extent in terms of the management, ensuring that it goes smoothly, Why not just hang on, since it's the same party? The next government will ensure that that consistency and that transition happens smoothly, as opposed to having some sort of gap, because that may likely happen in terms of coming up with Nigeria Air now.
The Nigeria process had been on for a very long time. And perhaps in all 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, there is no memo, policy memo on anything that had done the zigzag that this Air Nigeria had done. At least 7 times it came before the Federal Executive Council before finally it was let go. But don't forget that just when everything was set and for the airline to start, domestic operators in Nigeria, Nigerian Airlines, went to court and they got an injunction which said that Nigeria Air must not fly. This held up everything until barely a week or 2 ago. The minister has been bashed unfairly all over the place. He has been doing this with all of the commitment to put this airline in place, but simply that obstacles have been put on his path every inch of the way. Until just a week or 2 ago, when finally then the thing was declared for its resumption. I don't blame him. He wants to make history. The minister who gave Nigeria a new airline. So it's understandable that he wants to kickstart it Friday, which is 24 hours from now, and it will be to the relief of Nigerians. Certainly, it is something that is going to be a game changer, especially for international travel.
Did you say history, Mr. Garba Shehu? Because some people will say that after the collapse of Nigeria Airways, that there was an attempt to bring back an airline through Virgin Nigeria, the collaboration that the Nigerian government tried to have with Virgin Atlantic. So this is not exactly anything new. What it was saying was people were questioning this collaboration and how it was going to work with the main source of income of another country, Ethiopia Airways.
This is entirely different. It is entirely new because past attempts had been made to use resources from the treasury to run business. And government is simply a bad manager of businesses. We will continue to fail so long as these things are run by government. And this realization necessitates the fact that government of Nigeria will itself be a minority shareholder in this enterprise. It's going to be essentially business run. And that will mean that it will succeed.
Well, we'll wait and see, Jessica. We know that the minister, you said you've been empowered to work until the very last day. We don't know how many flight rounds this is going to make before the new administration comes in. We'll wait and see just how that works and whether or not it's something that the new administration will also support. But I'm wondering, looking at all that has been said, all that was said at FEC yesterday, and perhaps just some of the news that we also still saw, especially playing out at the National Assembly, the fact that 17 months after a probe, reps, that's members of the House of Representatives, were unable to ascertain just how much petrol Nigeria consumes and how much we're paying subsidy on. The fact that for the first time in a very long time, interest rates have been hiked to 18.5% by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The fact that, inflation is running away with the wind. Food inflation is at a high that, it hasn't been seen until recent times. I'm just wondering, how is the Buhari administration able to say that it has fared in the face of these statistics coming out from government officials themselves?
Well, if you are fixated to the odd numbers, the negative numbers, that sense of despair will prevail. But people can also choose to focus on the things that are very positive. If assuming, without meaning to be personal, assuming you were the granddaughter of a Nigerian citizen who worked in the railway, your grandfather left, he died, he didn't get his pension. His son died, didn't get his pension, and you now have a president who has paid pension to sign for their grandfathers, children coming to sign for their fathers. Historical debts of pension are being paid. Was a president who has eradicated polio. There are things that we live with and they become normative. President who has abolished grand corruption. So it depends on what we choose to focus upon. Inflation, we have said all the time that it's a global phenomenon. Cost of living crisis, 2 nights ago, they had an election in Greece and they were calling it cost of living election because it was the sole determinant. Every country had gone through this because of COVID and supply chain disruptions, which impacted negatively on manufacturing, leading to the production, of course, fewer goods and therefore costs rising. And we're a country that imports massively, including fuel you and I use in our cars.
Mr. Garba-Shehu, I'm not going to take away the fact, I mean, there is no government who will not try to do you know, some things right. So I'm not going to take away the positives. I think at the end of the day, what people try to do is compare, weigh the good and the bad and see just how the scale tilts. I think that's essentially what happens at the end of the day. How does the scale tilt? Did the Buhari administration leave them better than when he came in? I think that's, and so maybe in some areas he might score some good, and in some other. So the big question for a number of people is, are they really being left in a good place? The 3 key promises which he made to fight corruption, to better the economy, and to also fight insecurity. In these 3 areas, you've just spoken about how the president has fought grand corruption. By that, I imagine that you mean that himself and perhaps his vice president, were not interested in any of the contracts that were being issued, and nobody could mention the president's name in connection with any contract. However, when you talk about grand corruption, we also have to talk about our crude oil production, which even as at yesterday, the CBN governor was complaining about how we are now at 1.1 million barrels per day. The amount of theft of our crude oil being produced in the creeks has been unprecedented in recent times. And people know that that is not committed by ordinary people. That is committed by people who are high and mighty and in some cases have protection. So I'm wondering, how would you say, how would you really assess that statement that, oh, the president fought grand corruption in the light of this sort of revelation, especially when you look at the theft of crude oil?
Well, I'm not going to be that spokesman who will say that theft is not corruption. In fact, I think we had a former head of state who sat before television and said stealing is not corruption. So it's worrisome. But the difference President Buhari makes, and he has made over these years, is that the thieving, the theft, is not directed by state. You had in the past a situation where the authorities determined that $2.3 billion be brought from CBN, put on the table and shared on a table, and everyone put it in their pocket and just walked away. And the trials are still ongoing in our courts. So that has gone away. A petty corruption is still there. You encounter it, dealing with maybe the water supply people or law enforcement. It does happen. But even then, the environment has substantially changed by the acceptance of the fact corruption is not normative, it should be done away with. So we have moved from that, on from that. And a lot of the things that are going on in those communities, theft of crude oil and all of these things, evidence has sufficiently been provided without collaboration of stakeholders, be they local communities or partless or errant law enforcement. It would not have been happening. And to give credit to our Navy and to the military, the operations are ongoing. My reports may even be boring for some people because every day, every now and then, they are attacking, they are dismantling illegal refineries, they are discovering illegal connections to pipelines, and the sabotage is being uncovered every day. This is essentially a Nigerian problem. You don't go to UK or Germany and you find somebody staging a gun to shoot at electricity cable to bring down, so that they disrupt power. Or power towers are just being brought down for the joy of it, or people because they want to roll the cables and go and sell in as tokumbo in markets. By Nigerians, and there are challenges of development that even not just.
Well, Mr. Shehu, I hope you're still there. It appears as though that connection may have been frozen, but we'll just double check. We lost you for a moment. Does this government know those behind crude oil theft in this country? Okay, he's not back. We'll try and get him back. But Mr. Okoye, listening to Mr. Shehu, okay, pardon me, we'll have him back. So we'll just get him and then we'll come back to you. Mr. Shehu, I did ask you, does this government know those behind the crude oil thefts going on in this country?
Yes.
I did ask you, does this government know? So what is being done about it?
Unknown, many have been arrested. Many have been arrested and they are being prosecuted. The National Office of the National Security Advisor has done a lot of good job packaging those cases and presenting them before the law courts. Are you looking for the names of maybe senators or ex-governor also? They probably are not there. But if they are kingpins of that size of influence, the law has a very long arm, and eventually it will catch up with them.
Well, we'll have Chief Okoye here. Let's just get him to weigh in on some of these things as well. Well, you heard a lot, if not all, of what Mr. Shehu has said. The government is winding down. Validatory FEC has held, so he's looking forward to going back home, Mr. President. So from what you've heard and seen, well, what do you think?
Well, very interesting commentary and narrative, but sometimes when I listen to some of these people, you think whether they live in the country or whether they live in another planet. This is a government that came in with very massive support, popularity, goodwill. And, in no distant period of time, they squandered the whole thing. And it soon became clear that it's either they really were not prepared or they didn't just know what to do. And they didn't have the humility to even ask, how do we get these things done? I don't think any Nigerian will say anything. One or two things like you just said, maybe like Emoko said, yes, one or two little tokenism here and there, but government is not operated based on tokenism. You cannot be doing little palliatives here, and there are fundamental issues that were not, that were just not done. You talked about security. In fact, I think Wike kind of summed it up when he said, when people say they want to take over from where he stopped or they want to continue from where he stopped, the story of people dying every day, people kidnapped, and then the dollar falling, the naira falling every day. Is that what they want to continue with? It's in one word, this is a total failure. A total failure. So whatever they are saying about people being arrested, okay, you arrest people dealing with the economy of the country, the main resource of the country, and we're not hearing about them. And the Dallas National Security Advisor did that, and then people are, let's know who they are. Prosecute them. That people are building refineries. In any case, it's even an illogical thing to do. You do not have a national refinery. You don't have private refineries. And some people are striking out on their own. They are showing some skills. All you need to do is bring them. Are they not Nigerians? You bring them and say, okay, how do you people do this? Then set up the standard for them. That's how people develop. That's thinking outside the box. It's not only when they're able to write and they're NMPC and then they'll be able to design the kind of refinery you want, that can't even function. How many years have we talked about maintaining these refineries? Are they working? They're not working.
Mr. Koye.
So that's one. In any case, it's obvious that these people don't even walk around. They don't see ordinary Nigerians in the streets. They don't see ordinary Nigerians in the market, in the motor parks, on the roads. So you just they just sit somewhere in a one air-conditioned office and look at reports and they read reports and they clap for themselves. If you go out there and you see, in fact, Nigerians have been so degraded in the past few years. And our fault lines are so clear. It has never happened. So for anybody to come and say that they achieved this and they achieved that, it's either they're not living in Nigeria and, okay, look at the kind of joke we're hearing. Okay, you're making joke about Nigeria Republic. Is Nigeria Republic the only neighboring country, the only one we have? Why not Cameroon? Why not Benin Republic? Why not Chad? So there are things you don't even joke with. Considering your position, there are things you don't even say.
No,
Considering how sensitive some things are. Like he correctly said, yes, he's the president of the country. And everything about Nigeria centers around him. Therefore, it requires you to be circumspect in certain things you say or do.
But, you know, I know that, I mean, you've also tried to weigh in, to vie for some of these positions. But in history, the history of this country, I understand your point, though. But do you think, or can you remind us, is there any case in point in the history of this country where there is any president that has done anything or finished, and the people say, oh, yes, it is, or usually people are never really satisfied with whatever performance governments put in?
Okay. If you go to before the period of the Civil War, people were there, but it's a different system, parliamentary system. Then came in Shagari. Shagari came 1979 to 1983. Without truncating his administration, they were, setting some templates that will have worked. At least after the election, the man called everybody together and said, let's all work together. Every party, the 5 political parties then, invited them to form a government on national unity. That's by the way. I mean, I think he looked at the politics of the country more than he looked at any other thing. And if the politics goes wrong, everything goes wrong. I'm a lawyer. But if war breaks out in Nigeria, being a lawyer is irrelevant. Therefore, I think we haven't gotten our politics right. And until we get it right, we're just beating about the bush. And it starts with, in fact, the least thing I expected to happen within this administration would have been to call a national conference. Let's define what national interests are. Let's define whether we're going to, how to kind of reform the system. Like you say, restructure. You restructure the system and vis-a-vis how it operated in the 60s. Okay, when Jonathan came, by the time Jonathan left, or by the time Obasanjo left, things were put in proper. Okay, telecom alone, that was created during Obasanjo's time. I mean, everybody, before he came in, we had just about 379,000 telephone lines out of about 600,000 that Nitel had. But by the time Obasanjo was leaving, we had more than 10 million telephone lines. It's, to an extent, curtailed having to make physical trips. He did a whole lot of salutary things. And now we're talking about social media. If that backbone was not established, we won't be talking about social media and all that. Now, by the time Jonathan left, Nigerian economy was described as the fastest growing, the biggest in Africa. Okay, midway into this. This is the poverty capital of the world. So what are we talking about? There is no, you see, if you even start comparing, it's a waste of time.
The question is...
The failure is so huge, it's so humongous, you don't even know where to start.
You said in response to the issue, is there any precedent in recent history or for history in this country where at the end of their tenure, most Nigerians will say, yes, you've done well, because if not, quite almost all the presidents, we always say no. We're not happy with a lot of things that happened.
You see, Chamberlain, like I've told you, right after independence, we did not do the kind of restructuring that was needed to foment and then make this democracy work. By the time Shagari left, a coup took him out.
Okay.
So there was no kind of review. By the time Obasanjo left, of course, Obasanjo, like I said, he did a whole lot of salutary things. Yet maybe the lifestyle could have, or his way of doing things, could have.
All right, we'll go to break.
That was after 39 years of military rule.
We'll return and take a look at some of the comments that the president had made about his performance, and then Mr. Shehu will also take it from there in just a moment. Stay with us.
My people, you know, say election don't finish now. You don't elect president, elect governor, National Assembly members, State of Assembly members. But Matasi the tribunal. Well, we have to move forward. First of all, the person where you send go office, it be like say you send a message. Suppose they check upon him, suppose they call him. You suppose they ask him the money where I put for your hand, how you take the manage him, employment, opportunities where you promise me for manifesto, you go do him, I be you no do him. Now here, budget is going to make it simple for you. If you track government budget, how government takes spend money for your area from budget.org. You even fit track public projects, all the roads, the schools, the hospitals for your area, tracker.ng. You even fit on allocation for your state, for your local government, me.budget.org. Now, the matter in your hand. The person where you send go office, you suppose make sure saying they work for you. This message now from Budget.
Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman, cordially invites stakeholders to the official commissioning of NILS' state-of-the-art permanent site, 1,000-seater ultra-modern convention center with advanced technology and luxurious amenities by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Special guest of honor, President of the Senate and Chairman, NILS Governing Council, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, PhD, GCON, and Speaker, House of Representatives and alternate Chairman, NILS Governing Council, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, CFR. Date, Thursday, May 25th, 2023. Venue, Plot 307, Cadastral Zone, Shehu Musa Air Adwa Express Road, along Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Road, Abuja. Time, 3 p.m. prompt. Kindly note that guests are to be seated by 2:30 p.m. prompt, and attendance is strictly by invitation. Host, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman, Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS. Announcer.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Just Eat. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Let me quickly follow up on that question that Chamberlain asked you, Mr. Okeke, about the presidents that have held office in this country, and we never see anything good about them when their tenure ends. The follow-up is, in most cases, we always, after the new government has come into office, we always seem to praise the previous government. Oh, the previous government was better. I mean, you would recall the number of things that so many people have said about the Jonathan government, that it was so much better than the Buhari government and all of that. Meanwhile, during the Jonathan government, many people were complaining about this, that, and all of that. Don't you see the same thing happening, or rather, do you see the same thing happening in this case? Maybe around 6 months, 1 year down the line, many people will be praising the current administration for what we didn't know was good that they were doing while in office.
Well, thanks for the question. And I'm Okoye, not Okeke, if I heard you well. So, you see, a follow-up to that, normally, like I said, people have weaponized the ways of taking resources from the system instead of weaponizing solution to the problems of the masses. And that's why sometimes people refrain from saying things they want to say because you don't know where their bread is buttered. Because everything is about Naira and Kobo, and it doesn't make sense. No country operates like there must be ground rules. There must be fundamental issues. You must set down the principle. There are no principles, there are no values. And that's why people are more interested in their stomach Now, the second thing is the quality or the strength of the opposition. During Jonathan's time, you had a very strong opposition. It was very strong in the media, but there was nothing that Jonathan did that was right. They weaponized the opposition so badly. But now, when people are even supposed to be, okay, what was the price of petrol at the time of Jonathan? Let's even start from there. How many times have we increased the price of petrol? Where I come from, it doesn't even sell for what you talk about the official price. In the East, if you buy it at 240 or 250, well, you're very lucky. You know, in some areas, you buy it for 260 a liter. So take that, for instance, and considering the fact that transportation in Nigeria is 90% by road. So it is petrol-driven, and then the cost of oil is high. So look at that. What was the exchange rate in the time of Jonathan? It was about 220 maybe at the very highest. What is the exchange rate today? About 750. I think at the time, we were even thinking it was going to reach 1,000 per dollar. So there are things you need to check, unless you don't stay in Nigeria.
Perhaps,
if you are in
Mr.
Nigeria and you move around,
yeah, my apologies.
and then you should be able to, on your own, answer some of these questions.
Pardon me, Mr. Okoye, perhaps the challenge here, pardon me, perhaps the challenge here is that of a clear or direct vision that both the people of Nigeria and the government at any time can be held to. I mean, by the way, I just cited the Jonathan administration as an example. Many still have one good thing or the other to say about the Shagari government, the Buhari government the first time, the Babangida government, even the Abacha government. Many people still had one thing or the other to say, oh, things were better under these governments. Whether, despite the fact that while those governments were in office, many people weren't really having fun. Perhaps then, Mr. Okoye, the challenge is that of a national ethos or a national vision that every government that comes into office is held to. The Buhari government is going and has done all it wants to do based on what they think to be right for Nigerians. But then many are complaining one way or the other. Perhaps the challenge is that of a national ethos to which any and every government that comes into office must be held. Do you see that as an issue?
Perfectly. Beautiful. You put it well. I mean, you have at least come to what I've been saying. I've said this so many times. There is no national interest. And that's why people, like you said, they do things the best way they know how. They come in, whatever they think or whatever people around them convince them to do, they do it. And of course, because we don't have that, regional interests come in, religious interests come in, all kinds of personal interests come in. There is no time, and then people will now tell you, oh, politics is about interest. It's not about no permanent friend and all that. That's crap. The interest that we're talking about here is national interest, and that is what is missing. And until we get our national interest clearly defined, we will have all these kind of hiccups all over the place. So we need to have that clearly, and that's what I was thinking, that the Buhari administration will at least will be bequeathed to Nigerians. Let's have a national interest to which other interests align. It's just like the American interest. They tell you American interest. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. The system runs. And it runs on those basic principles that we don't have here. But what we have here is, oh, where is he from? Oh, where does he worship? Oh, do I even want to see him? Okay, I don't want to see. But if we have those basic things, it doesn't matter who the person is. It doesn't matter where he comes from, whether he worships you or not. These are the things that we should be talking about. And because this thing is lacking, people take advantage of it to the detriment of the country. And things have gone on wrong for too long. And that's why the young people that are coming, and if the elderly ones can't fix it, the way the young people will do it will leave everything in tatters. The way this thing is going, because most of these people don't actually good. Okay, like, for instance, they will tell you there's telephone everywhere. But if you travel from here through Lokoja to Itobe, and then maybe you're going to Enugu, you see there are so many dead spots where you can't have service. Assuming there are crises on that road, but if these people travel by road, they will say these things. And they will formulate policies that will address them. But because most of the time, okay, you take a flight from here to Enugu, 45 minutes, 15 minutes, you're out. You don't know what other road users, other travelers are saying.
Right.
So there has to be clearly defined national interest or national interest, like you have said. For as long as we don't have that,
right,
it will be like what Fela said. It's like a little ball in the street kicked. It will roll and hit the head on this wall. It will roll and hit the other. That's just, Fela, in fact, saw Nigeria a very long time ago. I saw it very clearly. Most of the things he said, if you listen to his music.
Okay.
So what you
Mr.
just said
Koye,
just kind proves that.
Let me go to Mr. Garbasheo. I know he might have a response or two or even more to some of the points you have raised. Mr. Garbasheo, he has a very, very critical assessment of this administration, which you speak very highly of. And would you say, is that because he's not the grandchild to someone who's gotten pension? Because for him, some of these things you mentioned are just tokenism.
Well, you don't blame Mr. Okoye, a politician who is running for office and who possibly doesn't know that the election hearing is over. Actually, the vote has been cast and the winner has emerged awaiting inauguration. So election hearing is over, it has to wait 4 more years. That's my message for you. And he thinks President Obasanjo will be remembered for telecoms. That's a fantastic idea. That President Shagari will be remembered for this and bringing people together. Yes, I want to tell him that Nigerians will remember President Muhammadu Buhari for raising power availability to 20,000 megawatts, for doing second Niger bridge, for paying pensions, for doing bridges, local Oweto. All of these things, social investment. Never have we seen this in size and performance on the entire continent. 4 million children taken off the streets, out of school children, removed from the streets and put back in school. And so there's so much to remember President Muhammadu Buhari for. And I totally agree with the two of you, all of that, and Chamberlain. The honeymoon period for Nigerian governments is a very short one. And they welcome you, they love you, but from the beginning, shortly afterwards, this love turns into hate. We don't like our leaders. It is after they leave office that we begin to shower praises and love them. So we are content with that. That's why we're not bothered. We go and sleep very soundly. They abuse all of us. The crown is on our head today.
Right.
It will move from Buhari's head to the head of President Ashwaju Tinubu in a few days.
And as they say, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. But some would say, well, President Buhari overpromised, and for them, he underdelivered. And when you talk about power, a lot of people will be watching, really, because the capacity we have or our potential is way different from the reality. Just 2 days ago, the reps, the House of Representatives, was asking the federal government to do something to tackle the power sector crisis. So that's very much in the face of a lot of Nigerians, and it was a major one for the House of Reps. But on a final note, Mr. Shehu, what do you say to Nigerians who listen to you, who have listened to you for 8 years now, almost 8 years, have listened to Mr. Adesina, and as Chief Okoye said, he wonders, do these people even stay in Nigeria? Do they face our reality? So what do you say to those people who listen to you and wonder, how do these people sleep at night? Because for them, the government did not perform up to expectations. What do you say to those people who sometimes they see you on TV and they're like, no, I don't want to listen to Mr. Shehu. I don't want to listen to Mr. Adesina because I do not trust what they say.
Well, what I will say to them is that President Muhammadu Buhari is a victim of the tyranny of expectation. And Nigerians thought he will solve all the problems of the country in 8 years. There is never a country on earth that has solved all problems 100%. But President Muhammadu Buhari has done his best for the country. He deserves to go home and rest, and Nigerians will cherish him afterwards.
All right, so Mr. Shehu, what will you be doing after you leave office? Can you hear me, Mr. Shehu? What next for you?
What next for me?
Yes.
I keep saying, for 8 years, I haven't gone on vacation. There is no annual leave for personal staff. Priority number 1 is go on vacation. When I rest, I'll think of what to do next. But I'm already a farmer. You should know this.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Gabashe, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, and Chief Govt Okoye, former presidential candidate of the UDP. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here today. Okay, let's see. I think we need to wrap up. Do we have any comments from anybody, anywhere? No. Okay, so there you go. That is the show then. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Oh, yeah, there were some comments. We just weren't patient enough to see them. I see this one from Festus Akimboyewa. He says, we must thank PNB for his service to our country. He surely has done his best. Sadly, his best hasn't been enough for majority of Nigerians. His massive investment in infrastructure should be applauded, but he's leaving a legacy of failure in the area of security and economy. As Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu takes control, the welfare of Nigerians and security must be his priority. Ejikezi also has one. He says, can we have laws that limit the policies and actions of an outgoing elected government once new elections have been concluded to replace them? That is also there as well. I guess I'll leave Ayo and Kayode to take the last two. Well, thank you so much for watching this beautiful morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Okay, take a look at this one from Law Alpha C3. By the way, the point that HK has raised is quite tricky because governance is meant to be a continuum. Okay, so what happens? Does that mean that governance will stop until the next government takes power? The budget is still running, there's still needs, but hey, Law Alpha C says the challenges before the incoming administration are enormous, ranging from insecurity, huge debt burden, spiraling inflation, etc. And hopefully the requisite abilities will be available to them at all levels to fix things.
Well, Elsa is kind of poking the bear, so to speak, says government can do well in business. Ethiopian Airlines itself is an excellent example. It's 100% government owned. Best wishes to Nigeria Air, all the same. And that's the program this morning. Thank you so much for watching and the privilege of being a part of your morning. I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful and fruitful day.
Still 2 days to Children's Day.
Yes, 2 days to Children's Day.
Well, make this day your very best yet, all right? And be kind to people around you. I'm Kayode Okikule.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, OFR, Their Highnesses, the Emir of Kano, Alhaji